breaking down fitness into smaller, more manageable steps and helping women realize even if you have a weight loss goal, yes, you can get results working out 3 to 4 days a week, but also too focusing on the other benefits of fitness and strength training in terms of mental health, in terms of keeping muscle on your body.
Are you a working mama out there trying to do all of the things, focus on your health, focus on your business, focus on your relationships and your family, and wondering how can I possibly do all of this at once? Well, if you are, welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we have trainer and working mama Adele Jones here to talk about all the things and how to find balance when it comes to being the working mother, entrepreneur, and so much more. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have our guest, Adele, here to talk to you about all the things. Adele has been in the fitness industry for over 17 years as a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, and health coach. She helps women 40 and over with flexible fitness and nutrition strategies to fit their lifestyle and show up more fulfilled in their everyday lives. She lives in Southern California with her husband and 2 kids. So welcome, Adele. Yay! That's her welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting today.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know if I told you this when we first met, but I was always into fitness and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, this is her job. Like, she's a personal trainer. I love this about her. And I was just so intrigued by that's what you did. And, fast forward, ended up going into the space about now it's been 15 years, but I started in like group fit, and ran some group fitness, but I was always just so envious. I'm like, that's such a cool job. So I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, no,
about
it's great.
that.
I've always been in health and fitness, so it's fun to be able to help people.
So you said you were always in health. Like, did you have a job before, like a career before going into health and fitness, or this is just where you started and ended?
I was always an athlete growing up. I played volleyball in college. And when I graduated, I was kind of like in the space where I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a communications degree, at a sports science minor, which actually helped me in the field that I've been in, for the my adult working career. And I started working at a health club, and it wasn't necessarily training, but I knew that I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So I started doing event planning, and then I started taking Pilates classes. And that's what actually got me kind of interested in being a trainer. I wasn't really, even though my background was in weightlifting, I just couldn't really picture myself as a trainer at that point for whatever reason. So I started doing the Pilates training. I really fell in love with that practice. And then over the years, I kind of built up my confidence as a trainer. I started leaning towards doing the personal training. And over the years, that the two have been a great combo, but the weightlifting and overall health and fitness coaching is what I really feel can benefit women so much, especially in this midlife stage, which is what I work with most of my clients.
Yes, absolutely. If we look at back in the day, I mean, that was not the conversation. It wasn't even Pilates. It was, the high intensity group fit classes, which I very much, was a leader in. And not until, and Amanda and I always talk about what was our first weightlifting experience. Now, I was a cheerleader in college, so we did have to do some of that training, but it was like, honestly, that was even kind of like, it wasn't structured. There was no phasing. I don't even remember who was in charge. I think it was just my coach who had little to no experience in regards to resistance training. And so my first experience with weight training was actually body pump. I don't know
I remember, body pump, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. Squatting, deadlifting, pressing, pulling. And my body changed drastically. But the problem with the body pumps of the world is as we age, I mean, that's so much stress on the body. Whereas when I was 20, it was like, I could take like a month of classes and, completely change my body composition. Whereas now I would probably not even have the energy to wake up to do it. So that sounds like a lot. But for you, many working moms kind of fall into that pattern of feeling like they constantly fail, right? They're trying to balance their health, their life, and a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, they're leaders in their positions. How do you help clients shift from kind of that all or nothing? Like, I used to do it this way. I would push myself in the ground. I would do it for the month. I would see these changes. And now I have zero energy to do it. How do you shift them from the all or nothing to more of a sustainable mindset?
Well, yeah, I think that's a big, issue with the fitness field in general. I just saw a post you did today about, you used to work out 6 or 7 days a week. And I went through that myself in my 20s, coming from an athletic background where we had 3 hour practices a day, sometimes double days. That's the way I thought I had to work out to stay in shape.
Yes.
And then you get into, even before kids, getting into the work world when I worked full time and I'd come home from the end of the day super exhausted, you just begin to realize that that's not sustainable. So I think helping women make that shift, because we have this idea that exercise is the key to weight loss, and women, focus on calories burned and how intensely their workouts are and how hard they're breathing. And I really had to make that shift personally and recognize that, one, fitness is so much more than just how many calories we burn, just the way we look. And that, two, you don't have to work out every single day to be fit, to be healthy, to lose weight, to gain strength. So a lot of times when clients come to me and I'll ask them, okay, how many days do you think you can realistically work out? I almost guaranteed 99% of the time they all say 5 or 6 days a week. And in the back of my head, I say, okay, you think you can work out 5 or 6 days a week? I almost always say, let's start off the first couple weeks of workouts and let's start with 3 full body workouts a week. If that is manageable and you're just crushing it, let me know and we'll add on a couple more workouts. Almost always I'll check in with them after that mark and they're like, you know what, 3 times a week was good. I felt like I got a good workout. It was manageable in my schedule. And then when it feels manageable, you're more likely to stick with it and stay consistent. I think that's a big thing for women, is because 6 days a week, especially if you have kids, especially if you, are working, whether, you're working inside or outside the home, it's hard to stick to. And then it's discouraging. And then you feel like a failure when you can't stick to a potentially unrealistic plan. So I think breaking down fitness into smaller, more manageable steps and helping women realize, even if you have a weight loss goal, yes, you can get results working out 3 to 4 days a week, but also too focusing on the other benefits of fitness and strength training in terms of mental health, in terms of keeping muscle on your body, in terms of just feeling good in general, I think are very important and motivating for women.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you said that, because I find, like, with my clients that come on, they say the same thing, like, oh, I know I should be working out 5 to 6 times a week. I'm like, should? Like, where did you get that idea? And that's part of what we work on. But then also teaching them, because they find that if they don't complete the workout, especially for moms, like if I don't do the whole workout that you have programmed for me, I couldn't get it done. Therefore, I didn't complete it. Therefore, like, I might as well not even try. And I think for you and I is really, and Christina too, is really about educating them that this idea of what you think the workout should look like needs to be kind of picked apart, because a workout doesn't have to be completed within the hour that they have scheduled. It could be 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. It could be 15 minutes every day if we want to go that route too. And I think it's really important for moms to find what works for them, because like for me right now, if she's sleeping, I can get some in, and then once she's up, that's my stop time. It's not when I'm done with the workout. It's when she's awake. And then I know there's going to be another nap in the day. And I'm fortunate enough where I have a home gym that I'll pick up where I left off.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the common things with my clients is I always say something is better than nothing. Now, if you have a big weight loss goal or this big body composition goal, sure, of course, eventually you're going to want to work up to more specific workouts. But I have clients, the workout might call for 5 rounds of something like a circuit workout, and they did 3. And I'm like, if you can get 3 in, that's fine. And letting go of this idea of what a perfect workout looks like, I think is really important for women.
Yeah. No, I mean, even in my situation, with my dad being in the hospital, my current routine is 4, it's basically 2 lower, 2 upper. And then I have an optional either mobility, kind of kettlebell mobility, or a full body workout on Saturday. I like to have my Saturday workouts, turn up the radio, like no one's working in the house, but sometimes we just take a walk that day. And this morning, I was thinking, I'm just cutting down to 3 this week. Like, and if I can get in 3, because I mean, that seems more feasible. And we really want to educate our listeners and our clients that even if you can sustain the 4 to 5, right? Say you did work your way up to that and a season changes in your life. Like in my case, my father being sick or a child or whatever that looks like, it is 100% okay to scale back or adjust, pivot, whatever that looks like. Because, like you said, when I can learn that there is no perfect workout or perfect plan, that the whatever the plan is that fits perfectly in my life, that's the plan that we need to focus on. And by life in that moment, and then in the next moment, and in the next moment. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. And I think being, like you said, being flexible versus just being like, oh, my life's crazy right now. I can't work out at all. Okay. Well, maybe this week my kids are sick. I normally work out 4 days a week, but you know what? I got in one workout this week. It's not great. I like to view consistency over months and years, not days and weeks. So if you
Yes.
look back over the course of the year, have you been mostly consistent with your workouts versus, oh, these past 3 weeks, I only got 2 workouts in this week, one workout. But if you look over the course of the year, are you consistent?
Yeah, I love that. One of the things I'll ask our clients on our first call, I'm going to say, okay, I want you to go to your craziest week. The kids are homesick. Your partner's out working somewhere else. You have a deadline at work and the dog's throwing up something green. What do you know you absolutely can do? I can do, a 20-minute walk with the dog, at lunchtime or something like that. Great. That's where we're going to start, and
Yeah, I
that's
love that.
something.
Even if it's not ideal, it keeps you in the habit too. And then, like we talked about, it's good for mental health. It's good for other things just to keep you in the habit of
Yes,
working out.
absolutely. Good, good. So a lot of women, especially women who are, I mean, ex-athletes or have always been high achievers or performers, they often tend to feel a sense of guilt, right? When they are not performing or being perfect or whatever that looks like. How do you help clients kind of break away from the guilt that comes from either taking away from their jobs or taking away from their families, maybe they're people pleasers, so that they can focus on their health and wellness?
Yeah, I think I can totally rate just with my kids at their ages, it's so overwhelming and it's so demanding, just the amount of responsibilities, the household work, kids. So I think, if you can take a step back and focus on how it can really truly benefit you in
Mhm.
terms of your mood, your overall health. And that taking a little time for yourself doesn't mean you are big picture taking away from,
Yes.
your job or your kids. And that
Yes.
we get this idea of like, oh, self-care, take care of yourself so you can take care of others, which, yeah, yes, of course, when you show
Mhm.
up, like I know when I get better sleep, I'm a more patient and present mom. But also, like, you deserve, take care of yourself because you deserve it, because
Yes.
it's important for you, and you don't get to just be at the bottom of the priority list. You
Mhm.
deserve a place at the top, and it doesn't have to be, again, like we're talking about, like these grand actions of 6 days a week workout. But if we can prioritize small things into our routine, it can make a huge difference. And it's so funny because I've just been have a really just kind of overwhelming parenting just with the kids' ages recently. And I'm
Mhm.
not being dramatic when I say this, but sometimes like just taking a hot shower or going for a 10-minute walk, I just feel like I regroup, I can do this. So maybe you do that with your workouts.
Mhm.
You do a 10-minute workout, or you do a 15-minute walk, or you take
Mhm.
these little bouts that's not going to take all day. It's not going to take away from your work. It's not going to take away from your kids. And you're able to incorporate it into your everyday life. So you do get to the top of the priority list. It might not always feel ideal, but little
Mhm.
changes can add up and make a big difference.
I
Yeah.
can speak a little bit more on that too from like a new parent standpoint of so like for example, speaking of like working out specifically on Saturdays or Sundays are like my big workout day where my significant other will like handle the baby for my time. And it did take me a bit to get comfortable with it. And I kept telling myself, like, one, this is an opportunity for my significant other and for the listeners listening that have kids. This is an opportunity for your significant other or your kind of co-partner to bond with the kid where you're not always taking over and trying to structure their bonding. So I would tell myself that because it was really uncomfortable because it feels like, well, I should be with her. I should be managing this. And it's like, and it's for me, it's easier to just breastfeed rather than figure out the pumping schedule and do all that and clean the pump parts. And I kept telling myself, like, it's okay to be uncomfortable, but I need to learn how to be uncomfortable because this is going to happen time and time again. And for example, when I'm 40 and Olivia, my daughter, is older, I don't want to not be able to do anything mentally because I didn't practice this in the beginning, right?
You
And I
burnt
didn't build
out.
that, and I didn't build that trust with my significant other that he can handle the kids for 2, 3 hours and
Yeah.
always come. And I don't want to always come in and save the day. So that, and the 1 hour workout, like I said, I'm just in the garage, she's in the house. And so I can hear her if she's crying and upset, but it takes everything in me to not go in there and be like, do you need me? And the
Yeah.
times that I initially did do that, he'd be like, just keep, like, what are you doing? Like, what,
Yeah.
like, go
Yeah.
away. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I think that's really important for moms to hear is like, okay, so even you're a bit more obviously experienced as a mother than I am, but there's still like this sense of like, get past that initial discomfort because you come back to your family and a more wholehearted, like kind of mentally available person. Whereas if you
Absolutely.
don't take that time for yourself, your cup still continues to drain.
Yes, absolutely. No, I completely feel that. My husband, he's really great. He'll do the same thing, like go work out, like he'll get
Yeah.
go sit in the room for 20 minutes. And it does, like sometimes I just need that short period of time.
Mhm.
And it's also just kind of releasing that, need to like control or give feedback on any
Yes.
given thing. It's like, okay, my husband's got this. He's gonna make the decisions. Like they will be fine.
It might not be
And
the
I
right
will get my
outfit, but
time for myself.
it's not the right
Yeah.
outfit, but at least she's dressed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I think what you guys do well too is you incorporate the kiddos into your workouts because I've seen
Mhm.
you guys do workouts as like a family where you're both in there, the kids are in there, they're busy. And I think that's such a wonderful like experience for them to see this is something that we do together, we do as a family, we prioritize our health, but they also don't see you guys like, killing yourselves in the gym,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's wonderful to like already just plant those seeds for them that movement is a part of being a healthy person and like you said eventually over time learning that it's more than just the physical parts of yourself but mom and dad did it and they did it in the most healthy way and now you're the model, you're creating the role model for them.
Yeah, it's really fun to have just kind of incorporate them. And it's like, people are like, oh, your kids work out with you. And they never we never say like, hey, let's go, actually do a workout. But they model, they mimic, they play in the driveway, they come in, they'll join an exercise. And I think that's something that's helped us too, instead of saying like, oh, I can never work out when my kids are around.
Mhm.
I really just, since the pandemic and I've been working at home, it's like the kids are going to be around. There's going to be interruptions. I've changed diapers in between workouts. I get snacks. I'm the referee, and it's not ideal, and it is frustrating, overwhelming, and sometimes I don't finish my workout. But they've gotten to ages where it has become easier. But it's just kind of lowering that expectation again of what a
Mhm.
perfect workout should look like, and just finding ways to incorporate movement into your day, and then your kids see it too.
I'm
Yes.
glad you elaborated on that because I was going to ask you, how did you bring kids into the workout? But you answered it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
So, question on this, because what we see oftentimes is women, again, putting their kind of their nutritional needs on the back burner. So, not only their exercise and their mindset, mental health, but nutrition wise, it's always the kids eat first and then I'll figure it out. Well, by the time they figure it out, it's 8 p.m., they're trying to go to bed.
Or
So,
they've like skimmed off of their plates.
or they're grazing throughout the day. What are like some of your biggest takeaways that you use with clients to help kind of give them better nutrition quality and quantity throughout the day?
Well, I think one of the biggest things with moms, especially if you're home, is, and maybe if you're working too a full day, but we have a tendency to undereat earlier in the day and then you
Yes.
overeat later in the day. So you're not
Mm.
giving yourself quality meals, and maybe it is because you're busy and you're rushing out the door in the morning. You think, oh, I'll have breakfast when I get home. I'll just live on off coffee for the morning. But a lot of times with clients, I'll make that shift to fueling more earlier in the day and with better quality. So later in the day, it doesn't just become the snack from dinner until bedtime. So,
Mhm.
protein, it's kind of all the rage right now, but for good reason. Protein helps with everything from satiety to keeping muscle on your body. So I really help clients prioritize, protein and carbs at their meals and snacks. That's kind of a general guideline.
Mhm.
But then also, like when I work with clients, it's not like I'm just giving them a meal plan or saying, go eat whatever. I really try to help them. Okay, what are you currently eating and how can we adjust it to make it a little bit work better for your lifestyle?
Mhm.
And that way, it's not this huge dramatic shift. We're not trying to eat perfectly, every single meal. We're not trying to eat perfect foods. We're just trying
Mhm.
to make better choices throughout the day. And oftentimes, when women make better choices earlier in the day, they in turn make better choices later in the day, like less snacking at night. And then, when it comes to dinner, like I try to feed my kids early. So I eat early too. So we can just, it's not this rush until bedtime and then we don't get a good quality meal. So I do cook mostly at home and I try to find recipes that, the kids are kind of at picky stages. So I try not to cook like different meals for everyone. Like this is our meal. And then I'll
Mhm.
include something on the side that I know they'll like. And then, fruits and vegetables are always just kind of an easy snack to add onto their plate if they're picky.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We one of the things I've been working on is this kind of not Trader Joe's, but even using some of those options like from Trader Joe's or Whole Foods where it might not be the, farmers market fresh, but it has a good amount of protein. It's easy to prepare. I can prepare it under 10 minutes. And, even teaching parents, like I posted something the other day of just like using Kodiak cakes over like your traditional pancake mix or some sort of like higher protein pancake mix, adding in some chocolate chips for them and maybe some fruit for you for added fiber, and just learning how to make those small shifts. And it's something that, again, it's that perfectionism mentality that people, and Amanda and I just did an episode on this where people believe that eating healthy is so bland and boring. It's the broccoli, the rice, the chicken, right?
Yeah.
Whereas there are a lot of great options out there that make it very easy. You have a lot of these appliances, the air fryer, the what's it called? The Instapot, the creamy, love that,
Yeah.
where we can make this very easy, but it's really unraveling this belief of like, oh, my diet has to look like this plate all the time, because that
Yes.
is absolutely unsustainable and unrealistic.
Yeah, and I think, social media does make it hard because you see all these like
Yes.
beautiful meals and then there's, 20 ingredients and I've tried a recipe one day. I'm like, this is way too complicated. I really just kind of stick with the tried and true. These are the meals I eat. We rotate through them. And I think that's something too, is you don't have to
Yes.
have a different meal, every single day of the week. Find a few meals that work good for you that, are pretty simple to prepare and then put them on repeat. And then you can add
Mhm.
in different things for variety. But I am huge on like convenience options like pre-chopped vegetables, even like
Mm-hmm.
pre-chopped vegetables. And sometimes like Trader Joe's has the microwavable rice, just
Yep.
something that's going to make it a little bit easier is huge and it makes such a difference. And then cooking isn't as daunting. It's like, okay, I can go home and cook a 10-minute meal. I don't need to go grab, fast food. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things. We have a lot of options these days to make,
Yeah.
healthy eating a lot more simple.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you
Love that.
brought that up too, because you're talking about like having meals at home and compared to fast food. And we've actually done a couple episodes on this where studies show that having meals at home is actually a lot better for the family dynamic. And then also too, like a lot of times when I get these clients, they have body image, nutritional things and rules and regulations, exercise rules and regulations that they've made up. And they're not wanting to pass this on to their kids. But I think what you're talking about is a prime example of we do things at home. We try our best to cook at home and we try and avoid fast food. I'm sure you guys get it every so often as well. Everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
But what you're showing your kids is this is what we do at home. And your kids are much less likely now to go and get the fast food as they get older. You can't
absolutely.
prevent it, but it's certainly, already have that foundation with them. And that's something that they can always return to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they too, like every once in a while, can I help make dinner? And, they do a couple things
Yes.
and then go play.
Yeah.
But they know that we eat at home most of the time. And we keep, desserts in our house, but we're not super rigid. It's hard with kids because they want snacks all day. And
Mhm.
you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
kind of find that balance between if they eat, fill up on snacks all day, then they're not going to eat their dinner. And I do try to be careful of the language I use around, kids, like
Mm-hmm.
instead of, oh, we're not going to have a cookie because it's quote unquote bad. It's like, okay, you already had one cookie. We're not going to have any more today.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot of things, we take on some of our own, because I definitely went through the phase where I viewed certain foods as good or bad, or certain things were a treat, or certain things were off limits. And I'm really glad that over the, throughout my 20s that I was able to kind of overcome some of those struggles and things around food that I can hopefully pass on a healthier relationship to food with my kids.
Absolutely. We talk about it all the time. Like you have to be the model, right?
Yes.
And, oftentimes we have clients come in who've had intergenerational struggles with food and body. And their goal is, I don't want to pass this on to my daughter or my son. And they're here to become that model and learn not just how to recreate those, beliefs and stories in their minds about themselves and their bodies, but also begin to create more of those shifts in their behaviors to, practice what they preach.
Absolutely.
And you guys have experienced it first. Well, Amanda, you will experience it, but experienced it firsthand of like, oh, wow, like you don't even have to be so direct with it. You just do. And like you said, they model, and that's wonderful. And it's not this like having to not recreate, but like be so dramatic. Like, look I'm eating a cookie today. You just eat the cookie, and you enjoy it. And you guys sit down and we say, okay, we're going to make this cookie last as long as possible so we can really enjoy it, and just having fun with it. And I just think it's wonderful. Amanda talks a lot about, and I'll let you kind of riff on this, of, prior to pregnancy, especially your first child, like those body image and food struggles that you had prior to it, they're only going to escalate more. So I'll let you talk about your experience with that, Amanda, and see if Adele relates.
Sure. So yeah, like Christina was saying, I firmly believe that a lot of struggles were implanted and present before pregnancy. And people go through pregnancy, they kind of get through those 9 months, and then postpartum happens. And all of a sudden these struggles reemerge, but they think it's because they're in postpartum. Whereas if they really dive deep and did some of the mindset work that it sounds like you work on and that we work on, they would find that those struggles and those beliefs existed way before pregnancy, that they started becoming in childhood and then were exacerbated by like our teens and then in our 20s. Mm-hmm. And so I just wonder, like, do you see that as well with your clients? What are your thoughts there?
In terms of struggles like around pregnancy, or
I would say like in terms of like blaming, and this is not to say it without empathy, but blaming postpartum for their disordered body image when really that body image kind of
existed prior.
Yeah, existed prior to the postpartum period.
Yeah. And I think that's, women really do go through so much, like so many changes. Like you're carrying a baby for 9 months, you deliver the baby into the world, you have this this recovery in those early postpartum months, your body changes. And so I think that it can, reveal some of the struggles that individuals have been dealing with for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think, I felt like I was in a good place going into pregnancy, even in terms of how fast I would recover from the pregnancy itself, and just really managing expectations around like what my body can do right now, and that trying to stay away from like that let's get our body back mentality and messaging that you do see on social media. I'm grateful there's so many accounts now that really kind of push back against that, but it's a time period, it's a season, and as you go through it, you learn a lot about your body and kind of what really matters during that time is your baby, and your mama's health, of course, is important too, but being able to grow and evolve.
Well, no. And like you said, like it uncovers kind of some of the stuff that maybe you hadn't worked on. And I think as young mothers, like obviously when you have the time and attention and your cup is a little bit more full, like it can help uncover like, okay, like that's something that really was overwhelming for me about the body image, about you guys probably both see it of like, trying to diet when we're breastfeeding, trying to get back to that body, and like just realizing like, wow, this is this is something I struggle with. And I now have this child who's watching. And for our listeners, this is a great time to do the work on yourself, and learn some of these patterns that you both are, Amanda currently creating, and Adele having already created with your own kiddos.
Yeah.
We got you on that one. So don't
okay, thanks.
It was perfect. So it was good. So I want to just jump back to kind of your go-to strategies to make nutrition simple and flexible. I know we talk about it. We love chicken tenders. We love the Costco chicken chunk or the Real Good Foods. What are some of your go-tos? If you need to think about it, I can riff off some, but I have so many little things that we actually put it in a sheet for our clients and then the clients can add to it. But what are some of your easy go-tos that you would
Well, we
suggest?
definitely have, I think, probably have the same chicken tenders from Costco that
Yes.
you
The green
have.
bag.
Yes.
We have, I think, also from Costco, there's some sweet potato fries
Yep.
that we'll throw in the oven or, chopped up, ready to go. The
Yep.
microwavable rice is a huge one that'll just throw a packet in the microwave. I just did this air fryer salmon recently that my kids actually, they're not asking for seconds, but they'll eat the serving I give to them.
Yes.
So we have, yeah, we kind of have like, we'll do like a salmon night. We do like a taco night where everyone can kind of like, maybe one kid wants a quesadilla, one kid wants a burrito. I'll do a taco bowl. And then, go-to snacks are like yogurts, fruits, and same thing like you're saying to make it a little fun. We'll put chocolate chips on it, or
Yep.
sometimes the kids will even do like sprinkles. Let's put some sprinkles on it, just depending on how picky they are in any given moment. But our meals are pretty routine. I'm trying to think of other ones that I like. I'm saying pre-chopped vegetables, especially from Trader Joe's, are like my go-to. The onions, the shredded Brussels sprouts.
Mhm.
They're just really easy to. It's like if it can take away that step at night, that makes it so much
Oh,
easier.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're big fans of like the steamers vegetables, right? Where you just throw it in the microwave.
Yes.
Also Costco has this like sheet vegetable mix and you can just put it in the air fryer. I talked about the creamy for mothers out there. Do you guys have one?
I have been like on the verge, like
Do
back
it.
and forth.
Do it, do it, do it. Like
Yeah.
it's so fun and they can add their little toppings in. But I'm trying to think what else. So for Mark and I, now obviously we don't have kiddos, but we do mac and cheese that I talk about on this podcast all the time. And it's just Bonza chickpea pasta, broccoli, two Laughing Cow, pepper jack is the ones we use, and then like a serving of cheese. And it's so good. I've had so many mothers make it for their kiddos and they don't even realize like they're getting all these nutrients in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we pair it with a side of the chicken tenders. So it's
Yeah.
our little, 7-year-old selves just having a little moment with our meal. So
Yeah, I think like one
that.
pot meals are really for me
Yeah.
because it takes away a lot of the dishes are really
Yes.
I do like a taco mac and cheese that the kids like, some
Mhm.
sloppy joes, like a high protein sloppy joe that they can just throw them. They have the bun, so they're happy there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just whatever it can do to reduce because cooking at home it can be a lot, like the prep, the dishes, the dinner. So
Mhm.
whatever you can do to make it easier on yourself. And there are tons of good options out there, like you said. I'm curious to see like what list, your full list.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that. And then we're working on a Trader Joe's list. And so we have a resource called like easy to prepare meals. And I put on there like they are a little bit higher in sodium, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like we've talked about, it's going to be easier to grab the Trader Joe's chicken fajitas, some pita bread, maybe some, something for the side, any of their vegetables. They even have that like Mexican style cauliflower rice, which we shit on cauliflower rice here, but I love that one because it tastes really good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
boom, now we have a meal and it can take, 10 minutes and that's going to be more satiating, more satisfying. And you obviously have more control over it than if we just, run through the drive through or order DoorDash.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the trouble with those, the fast food is the food is so palatable. It's like so salty, so crunchy, so sweet, whatever the flavor is. And it's hard. Like that's why I tell people is, processed food is not quote unquote terrible for you, but it's going to be harder to overeat. And you're probably going to feel worse than if you make other, a homemade or semi-homemade, we'll call it, meal.
Yeah. One of the things we focus on, and this was actually something I learned in a eating disorder continuing education for my therapy license, is the sustainable eating quadrant. And the way we explain it is we have foods that are both pleasurable and nourishing. And for me, for example, that's blueberry, strawberry, salmon. These are things I can eat on their own. I don't have to do much to them. And I love them, avocado, rice, eggs. So for our clients, like creating a list for them of those pleasurable and nourishing. So we're getting nutrients, but we enjoy them. Then you have your pleasurable foods. And in that list, we make it very specific of instead of just saying donuts, it's like, no, I love, a bear crawl, and I like, a lemon jelly filled. So in the pleasurable food side, I'm like, what are your love foods? And then teaching them the portions on how to feel good afterwards, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Feel good physically, feel good mentally. Then we have nourishing foods that we need to learn how to prep in a way that makes them taste good.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I'm not going to eat ground turkey by itself. I
Yeah.
need some like taco seasoning. I need to put it in a marinara and kind of teaching them that. And then the last quadrant is not pleasurable and not nourishing. So if that lemon jelly donut, do they make those? I don't know why I use that as an example. If that's not something that they're like, I love this, I really enjoy it, so satisfying, and it doesn't provide any nutrients to them, we just eat less of those. And what we're not saying is these foods are good or bad. We're just saying have a bit more of quadrant 1, learn the portions you can eat in quadrant 2, make quadrant 3 more palatable. And for listeners, if there's a food that you just don't like that's nutrient dense, we put that actually in quadrant 4. And quadrant 4, we just eat less of. So that's an easy way that we kind of structure how we focus on nutrition.
I think that alludes to is just having kind of a little bit of awareness as I talk with my clients, is having awareness around food and eating. Like, do I actually like this food that I'm eating, or am I just eating it because it's broccoli and it's super healthy? Or these, cookies, the Girl Scout cookies, are these really my favorite ones? Or should I not eat those and maybe save it for something that I genuinely like? So just because it's a quote unquote healthy food doesn't mean you have to eat it. And same thing with the opposite end of the spectrum, like start to pay attention, like, am I enjoying this, or am I eating this? I'm sure you go into this, like, because of boredom or loneliness or stress, and really start to pay attention to the when and the why behind your food choices.
Yeah. I love that so much.
I've got a question in regards to coaching, because both of you are kind of going off right now and ping ponging. And it sounds like when people work with you, Adele, that they can expect like nutrition recommendations, like how to make a meal for your family. Sounds like they can have a flexible exercise routine. Can you talk about some of like the mindset shifts that clients tend to get with you from working with a coach? Because sometimes what I find is people are listening, they think I'm going to take the YouTube information, I'm going to take the Instagram information, I'm going to take the podcast information, I'm going to apply it to myself. And they do that, and they struggle, and they continue to struggle for years, and then eventually hire a coach, not realizing that if we hire a coach sooner, then you get through that struggle much quicker. And those years that you were struggling, you could actually be a lot more fruitful on the other end. So I'm curious, for when you're working with clients, like, what is something that you see after they come away from you and working with you that you've given back to them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I get, I even had a former client reach out to me like years later, and she's like, I just want to thank you for instilling, she didn't say this exactly, but pretty much like a moderate approach and healthy habits when it comes. She's like, I still practice those habits on a regular basis. And that's kind of vague in general. But I think one of the biggest things is women come to me with this kind of all or nothing mindset that we've been talking about. And like, well, I don't do sugar. And I tried doing keto and even food rules. I've done intermittent fasting just because so-and-so did it and got great results. And I think what I've been able to do with my clients is shift them from this like constantly searching for the perfect plan to really providing them with the foundational tools for nutrition, and then help them break some of the stressful, overwhelming, frustrating habits or feelings that they might have about food. It doesn't feel so stressful. It doesn't feel so overwhelming and intimidating. And they leave with a clear plan, knowing what they have to do to knowing how to implement the habits that they've learned, but then to be able to continue with them going forward. And I think so often women get caught up in this really rigid approach, and they really appreciate that there's actually a flexible approach, and they see that for themselves as they go through their time with me and then post coaching. And that's my goal, is to help clients. Like, some clients do work with me for a year or two because I like the accountability, workouts and nutrition, but a lot of them work with me for the 3 months and they get what they need, and then they're able to go apply that moving forward.
We are the exact same. I say I want to get fired as soon as possible because you've learned everything you need to learn. And you feel like you're saying, you've created a foundation I oftentimes, being in my 40s too, I give the example of a boom box. So you have all these different knobs. So you have nutrition, exercise, movement, sleep, stress management. And in different times of your life, none of them are ever turned on full blast, none of them are turned off. We just adjust, right? We just make these little adjustments. And by creating that foundation, we know what our floor is, and then we can adjust as we
Love
need
that.
on all the other things.
And I think
Yeah.
that's, going off what you're saying is that, people think, I think just again, because of this, what we've just been exposed to, nowadays, more
Whole
so through
lives.
social media, our whole lives, in different capacities, is that like, we're just going to always eat perfectly. And I tell people like, yeah, like you're going to have to learn how to navigate social events. You're going to have to learn how to navigate busy seasons. You're going to have to learn how to navigate vacations and when the kids get sick. So really, there's no perfect time to start. It's not going to work out perfectly like at your everyday. There's always going to be obstacles and challenges. And that's why adopting a flexible approach is so important, because you're never going to be able to eat absolutely quote unquote perfect all the time or get your workouts in the exact number of days a week that you want to work out for the entirety of your life. It's always adjusting, just like you were saying there.
Yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah.
It's crazy because, I love that, we've known each other for so long, and that I never realized how aligned we are with everything that we do. And, our goal and the Mindset of Matter really is to change the game for women specifically, and understanding that your health is so much more than even those knobs, right? I mean, well, you have stress management there, but when we take that all or nothing approach, we are very much, as Amanda said, like pushing that, I don't want to say goal, but for lack of a better term, pushing that back and further away and further away and further away when doing the hard thing, the flexible dieting, getting out of that all or nothing mindset, figuring out what works. That ultimately is going to not only help us today, but our future selves as well.
Absolutely.
And we're still struggling with getting that message out there to the masses, but that's why we collaborate with people like you. So, one last question, then we'll get into some fun, well, we'll call them fun questions. Working mom is listening, right? She's feeling overwhelmed. She doesn't know where to start. What is the one thing she should focus on first?
Let's see. So, when it comes to clients, all the time I'll have clients ask me, or people ask me, like, what's the best diet? What's the best this? What's the best that? And my answer is like, it depends, because it's so nuanced, right? So I would say, it's gonna be like a general, but hopefully a little bit of a specific answer, is that, kind of take a look at your life and identify where you might be struggling most right now. So maybe you're kind of working out, you feel pretty good about it, but your nutrition is just a mess. Maybe focus on a healthy breakfast each day. Or if you can identify a problem area, I snack from dinner until bed. Maybe just focus on dinner until bed snacking, and what can you do? What habit can you replace that with in the evening? So instead of focusing on the whole day, I need to make these massive changes. Focus on one area, just example, nutrition, and how you can adjust that. That way it's not so overwhelming. Maybe you feel like your diet's okay, but your workouts, you haven't worked out in months and it's so sporadic. Start by maybe committing to 2 15-minute sessions a week. And a lot of times people say, oh, it's 15 minutes, that's too easy. It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And if you can prove it to yourself with small wins, like 15 minutes, I actually hope that my clients say, oh, that's too easy, I can do it. And it's like, great, you have that
Prove it
mentality. Yeah, prove it. Then you do it. And then you prove it to yourself with small wins. You're like, oh, I can work out 2 15-minute sessions a week. Let me try for 2 20-minute sessions, or let me add a third 15-minute session. So I would encourage the overwhelmed working mom, because I was just listening to a podcast today about how there's so much information. And if we get caught up in just constantly researching information, then we're paralyzed and we never implement any of it. So identifying what area of your health, maybe it's sleep, maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's working out, could use a little extra love right now, and starting there and then building upon it as, like I said, as you prove it to yourself with small wins that you can do it.
All right. So we like to do a fun little thing, some like rapid fire questions, just questions about you, your own journey, and just things in general. So are you game for this?
I'm good. I'm ready.
Awesome. How do you define true inner confidence?
I feel like true inner confidence is being okay with who you are. I was talking with my husband about this the other day. I think every client issue that my client struggles with on some very low level, I feel like I can relate or have
Mhm.
related in a previous version of myself. But true inner confidence is not like looking perfect or you know, it's not like one definition of something, my job, being a mom,
Mhm.
being a wife. It's, being okay with who I am and being able to show up each day in a way that's authentic to myself.
Love it. Yes.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
got what's one mindset shift that has transformed your approach to health?
It would definitely be the all or nothing approach. Like I was all about 6 days workouts a week, clean eating diet, and it was a stress and it was a struggle. And I feel like I have just come like full circle from where I was 10 years ago to where I am now.
Love it. How do you stay motivated on tough days?
I'm not motivated.
Love it.
I do it anyways, is how I do it.
Yes, that's the best question, the best answer we've had
Yeah.
yet. This is my favorite. If you could change one thing about this industry, what would it be?
It would be the unrealistic expectations that, whether they're intentional or unintentional, that are placed on people, I think, to look, eat, and move a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
What's one book or resource that has greatly influenced your approach to health and wellness?
Oh,
I know.
so
Or
many.
podcast. You could do
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. You should add that to that. Yeah.
There's so many. Like I've been all into my podcasts recently, my books, but I read a book recently, well, maybe in the past couple years, called "You Can't Screw This Up."
You can't.
It's
Love
I'm drawing a blank on the author right now,
We'll put it in the show notes so you guys can find it there.
but it's a
Adam
realistic approach
Bornstein.
to diet
Awesome.
and nutrition.
What are your go-to pods right now?
Go
Podcasts.
to our Mel Robbins,
Uh-huh.
because I love the show. This Is Us. I watched the
Oh my
podcast.
God.
That Was Us. It's probably one of my favorite. I just love it.
That show is a tearjerker.
Oh,
My God.
I love that show. And so it's really fun. I love the behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So those are my two I go to weekly. And the New Heights with
Oh, Travis or
and
the
Jason
Kelsey
Kelsey.
brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Good. Last question. Talk to us about what you got going on with your business. Share, promote anything you've got going on. I know it looks like you have a nutrition course that you'll be running.
Yeah, I have a 4-week nutrition course that starts next week, actually. And this is my foundational course to help women find a sustainable approach to eating without giving up their favorite foods. It's like we've talked about, laying the foundation for sustainable weight loss. So I'm really excited about this because I feel like it's just something that so many women need. And, I just see so many women turning to different diets or quick fixes. And this is an approach that I tell women, you're going to learn what you need to know and you'll be able to take it with you going forward. So that I have, I'm a big proponent of strength training. So I have strength training programs. That my most immediate program is this 4-week nutrition program coming up.
Perfect. Where can everyone find you on socials and your website or whatever?
The easiest way, my website's delcjones.com, and the easiest way to find me would be on Instagram at Fit with Adele. That's where I hang out the most.
Go check her out.
Yes.
Yes, she has wonderful content. What I love about your content, because I love that you make it so digestible and simple, and just someone can literally watch something or read one of your carousels and be like, okay, like I can implement that, and it just makes it so digestible. And, for us, we're, our niche is that kind of more psychological side of things. So anytime we can say, and go follow our friend, because she's going to break down all of these things in such digestible ways that you can implement them, we want to always align with people like you. So we love it.
I appreciate that feedback, because that's the goal, is to help make it simple for women.
Yes. Awesome. Well, perfect. Anything else, Amanda?
Nope.
Do you want to meet Olivia, Adele? This is Olivia.
Sorry, she was with grandma.
Oh, Olivia.
She was like, oh, baby.
Oh my goodness. Almost 4 months.
Yes.
Oh,
It's crazy.
It's every stage is so hard in its own way, but like I just remember that stage. Oh my, I love how little they are.
Oh, I know. Well, and she's so much more fun and interactive now.
Yes,
But
yeah.
it's like, it's hard because you're like, man, I didn't realize in the newborn stage, like how much they slept and you could actually get more done.
Oh yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot, like, you're like, surely you could get stuff done. It's like, no, you really like can't. Cause even I
Yeah.
was putting away the laundry and she's like pissed at me that I'm not like staring right at her. And I'm like, okay. Like,
Well, you still feel like you can't get stuff done. It's like that's the ongoing like.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, can she hold up her head on her own? Because that's when I come in as auntie because I'm so afraid of babies.
That's how my husband was too before our kids, and he just swooped in and got used to it right away.
Yep.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this information. Thank you, Adele, for being our guest
Thank you,
today.
Adele.
Yeah, check the show notes below on where to find her. She has her nutrition course, which will be starting so it'll start the day that this drops. But if they can slide in maybe on Monday, we're
Reach
okay.
out to me and I can make something happen for sure.
Awesome. If you found this really helpful, please share it. Share it with that mom that you know who's really struggling or anyone in your life that can really, benefit from this flexible approach. If you haven't already, make sure to give us a follow, subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts or YouTube. And you can check us out on Instagram at Mindset Mirror Connection Podcast. And other than that, we want to leave you with this one last thing.
What you say in the mind,
you see in the mirror. Goodbye.